You are now listening to WSN, Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
Welcome to the Playbook, your ultimate game plan for college sports. Four guys who live and breathe the game are here to break down the biggest plays, hottest takes, and boldest predictions, bringing you segments like The Kickoff.
Haynes King rolls into Mercedes-Benz Stadium next season.
No way!
And they beat the Georgia Bulldogs.
Halftime hoops.
You know what? I have faith in Gonzaga. They're going to go all the way this year.
Gonzaga's the same team every year, and they disappoint every year.
Seventh inning stretch.
Drew Burress is the best player in college baseball.
What are you talking about? Jamie Arnold clears him.
And to end it all off, a signature segment of Who's That Campus Legend.
The first hint is this player went to UNC.
It's obviously Drake May.
Dude, it's Michael Jordan.
This is The Playbook on Wolf Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second episode of The Playbook. I'm your host, JT. I'm joined by Aiden behind the board, Brandon, and a new face over here in this last chair. He was in Kennesaw last week, but we're joined by Jackson Voles from Sports Out of Pocket. If you guys aren't familiar with Sports Out of Pocket, they are live on Wednesdays from 5 to 6. But tell us a little bit about how Kennesaw went, man.
Man, I was in Kennesaw with my professor, Andrew Will. It was a week before Mardi Gras, so, I had to party hardy for Marty, and, we had to get some business meetings together. So, Mardi Gras, it's great. It's great. That's what I was doing in Kennesaw for everybody who was wondering.
That's good, man. Aiden, how's your day going so far, man?
My day's been great. I got my grade back on a Conwall test, made it 89. Was not expecting it. Great day. Beautiful stuff.
That's awesome. Brandon, how are you doing today, man?
My day's been great. We've been doing a whole lot of research for all of you listeners out there, and I feel like we're going to put together a really good show today.
Yeah, I'm really excited for our episode today, and we're going to start it off with the kickoff.
The Playbook has won the coin toss. They've elected to start the kickoff segment of the show. To Carrollton, the community, we present to you the kickoff.
You heard it. We're going to be talking about college football. We're going to talk about this NFL Combine this past week and some of the biggest winners and some of the biggest losers. We all picked one winner and one loser we're going to talk about. Brandon, we'll start with you. Who's your biggest winner?
So I'm going to pick a guy who not really gets a whole lot of mention because he's graded as a 3rd to 4th round pick. But I think, honestly, after his performance at the Combine, Ty Robinson, defensive lineman out of Nebraska, he ran the fastest 40 time out of all defensive linemen that was there. He also placed top 4 in the 10-yard split, vertical jump, and the broad jump. And there was only 9 defensive linemen that competed in bench press, but he came in 4th out of all of them. But I think that after his performance at the Combine, he moved himself up and solidified himself as at least a 2nd-round pick, in my opinion, and one of the best interior defensive linemen in this draft.
You think he has potential to be a 1st-round pick?
I don't think that someone's going to pick him in the 1st round just because I think Mason Graham might be the only interior defensive lineman that you see get picked in the 1st round because I think he's the one that has the best measurables. Yeah. Even though he didn't compete at the Combine.
He also measured in. He came in like 20 pounds lighter than he was listed, which really hurt him too. Yeah. Came in at 295 instead of 315.
Well, we're going to move on. I'll go next. My biggest winner is Nick Emenwari, the safety out of South Carolina, 6'3", 220 pounds, and ran a 4.38 40-yard dash. That's pretty fast. And he also jumped a 43-inch vertical. Now, I've seen a lot of analysts compare this guy to one of the best safeties in the league, if not the best, in Derwin James.
Yeah.
This guy had a better combine performance than Derwin, but he is both taller and bigger in size compared to Derwin James. Seeing Derwin's success in the league, we could see that type of production out of this guy when he gets to the league.
So you're just saying he's going to be one of those box safety guys?
Oh, for sure. Like
a
all
big
around the field
physical run stopper.
Oh yeah.
Do you think he's going to be able to step up in pass coverage?
I mean, he should be. He's got.
I don't see why not. He's
4.38 speed. I think he can run anybody down.
I mean, that's been the biggest knock on Derwin James.
Yeah.
Is the fact that he's not a very good coverage safety.
Yeah, Derwin James was smaller and not the athlete to the level of Nick Emenwari is. He might have been a better polished prospect coming out and really highly touted. But Nick Emenwari, he just looked explosive in every single drill. It was insane. You go in any draft category, like any of the drills that they did, and you go top. Nick Manware was there every single time, even for just all of the combine. He was insane at everything that he did.
I would like to propose this question, JT, for this South Carolina safety. Where do you think he lands in this NFL draft, and which team is most needy of a guy like Nick? I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Emenwari.
Emenwari, yeah.
That's a tough question because this guy was projected like probably a late first round pick, maybe middle first round pick. Mm-hmm. I could definitely see him moving up, but I'm not really sure what team would need a player like that.
Maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars.
A team like the Jags, they need a lot of stuff. A lot of teams need a lot of help, but I can see the Jaguars being a possible landing spot.
Yeah, I talk about this all the time off air. He's a football player. Teams need good football players. This guy looks good. He can play anything. He can do anything you want him to from that safety position. He's big enough to come down in the box and stop the run, and he's got the speed to play zone coverage on the back end and help out your corners against very good wide receivers.
Yeah. Aiden, we'll stick with you. Who is your biggest winner?
My biggest winner was Armand Mimbo out of Missouri, and he was a tackle, and he had a tremendous combine. He ran the fastest time of any tackle in the draft. He came in an inch taller and had longer arms than anybody thought. A lot of people were talking about kicking him into guard before the combine, but now he's pretty solidified as a tackle. He had the measurables needed, and he jumped up the draft board because he's a tackle instead of a guard, more valuable position, and because of the numbers he put up in the combine. His broad jump, his 40-yard dash, his 10-yard splits were all elite.
Yeah, I was looking at his next-gen stats. He had one of the best out of all offensive linemen. Out of all combine prospects, he had one of the best athletic grades out of all of
another tackle I'm really high on that I want to try and ask Aiden about is Will Campbell. And how do you think he lines up with Will Campbell?
Well, the problem is Will Campbell is probably not a tackle anymore. He came into the combine and his arms were too short, and now all the conversation is about kicking him inside the guard because he doesn't have the size that people thought that he had before. So that's why this combine really went great for Armand Mimbo, because he came in as probably the tackle 2 or tackle 3 on some boards, and he measured up and ran good enough and was enough of an athlete that he's now probably the tackle 1 and moved himself up 10 to 20 picks, because being a tackle is so much more valuable than being a guard in the draft.
So you're saying he's a projected first-round pick?
Oh, he's projected
top 10 pick. I was about to say he's going to go
Okay,
top
so
10.
at the Eagles, if you are listening,
they're not
Lane Johnson is getting to his 35-year-old age, and due to Aiden AB's, data analysis on Armand Mimbo, we may need him at that O-line.
I got bad news for you. He is projected to go 5th overall.
He will not
Eagles
make it
can
that
trade
far.
up. The Eagles have the capital.
5th overall pick in the new PFF mock draft.
Eagles have the capital.
Yeah.
We can trade up.
I don't know why they would. Their
like
team's
him.
pretty good.
I want to say I did have the Patriots going Will Campbell, but after seeing this performance, I might have switched my pick for the Patriots up there at pick 5.
Will Campbell's probably going to be the first guard off the board now, above Booker out of Alabama and Gray out of North Dakota State. Those are both great guards. This is now a great guard class with Will Campbell being introduced in it. There's probably 3 or 4 first-round guards, but now it weakens the tackle class. There's probably only 1 or 2 tackles, with Mimbo being the best of them, I believe.
Yeah. We'll move on to Jackson. Who's your biggest winner?
All right, so I want to stick with an SEC product. Stick with the offensive side of the ball. Aiden, I know me and you had a conversation about this guy prior to this show, and I know that you have some conflicting opinions on it. My winner for this NFL Draft Combine is Mr. Jackson Dart, and the reason why I say this is we had conversations prior to these shows about this, about, the past few drafts we've seen at least 2 quarterbacks go in the first round. For a potential for this draft, I think it's going to be 3 quarterbacks, and I want to propose a question. I'm not saying I agree with this theory, but when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, he is my loser. I'm going to get to him in a little bit, but Shedeur Sanders skipped out on the combine, and Jackson Dart had a fantastic combine despite not running the 40-yard dash. What really caught NFL scouts' attention was his passing drills. He showed great, tremendous accuracy, and outside of Jackson Dart, the only other quarterback that they saw was a top performer with this guy was Tyler Shuff, and the only reason that out of Louisville, and the only reason that they're a little iffy on him is because due to his injury history. So let's propose this question: Cam Ward, clear-cut winner number 1, clear-cut top quarterback in this draft class, correct?
Right.
Do y'all all agree?
Yeah.
Right.
Here is my question to you: is Jackson Dart have a chance, or just in the conversation of being that number 2 quarterback in this draft class? And I want to start with Aiden, who has a conflicting opinion.
I want to take this one, and I want to say that I think that Shedeur Sanders is so much closer to being the QB1 than Jackson Dart is to being the QB2.
Okay.
The level between Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart is probably a first to second or third round talent. I don't think Jackson Dart's going to go in the first round unless the team gets really, really desperate, which they don't seem to be at this point. There are some teams desperate for quarterback, but I don't think they're desperate enough to go Jackson Dart in the top 15. He hasn't shown anything. He had a good combine performance. Teams have stopped getting wowed by these good combine performances by quarterback. It's led to taking bust after bust after bust for the NFL.
Yeah. We'll get right into losers, though. We'll start with you, Jackson.
Shedeur Sanders, and I said it because he did not perform at the 40-yard the NFL Draft Combine this past weekend. That's why, and you've seen we've had these conversations with these prospects who do perform in this Draft Combine, who shoot up draft boards, and we see guys fall who don't perform in these Draft Combines. Like we saw a couple years ago with David Ojabo, who didn't perform in the Draft Combine, who was a projected first-round talent out of Michigan a couple years ago and slid down those draft boards. So also due to injury, but it's performing at this Draft Combine kind of balances it out.
I do want to say if I was running a team, I would definitely prefer Shedeur Sanders over Jackson Dart. But I want to stick on the quarterback route.
Hold on, I got to say something about this. Not performing at the combine is going to hurt your draft stock.
Well, Bryce Young. I mean, outside like Bryce Young.
That hasn't hurt a top quarterback not competing in the draft combine. That hasn't hurt a quarterback's draft stock in 20 years. I don't know what NFL you've been watching since.
I'm talking
since
about
Tom Brady came into the league.
I'm just talking about overall prospects in general. You've seen guys who have shot up draft boards due to this, and it was like let's see for
at skill positions.
But C.J. Henderson out of Florida, he was a guy who was a third, fourth round guy before heading into that draft combine. He shot up.
This doesn't happen with quarterbacks though.
He didn't perform well at the in the NFL level, and it didn't really translate. But still, we're just talking about strictly pure coming out of the combine, coming out of the draft into their NFL position.
Yeah, I see you, man.
I want to say on topic with quarterbacks, my biggest loser is Will Howard. He had a terrible performance at this combine. Players, including Shedeur Sanders, are trying to defend him, saying, "Oh yeah, he's never thrown to these receivers before." But none of those quarterbacks have, and he just looked worse than ever. You could not look at him and be like, "Oh yeah, he won a national championship." I would not believe that looking at him now. Seeing that performance, I could not see that. A lot of people are calling it one of the worst performances of all time at the combine. If you saw that video of him missing throw after throw, struggling against a defense that is non-existent, it's air. He was struggling against Casper on defense. And he also, with the broad jump, the vertical jump, he had the worst measurements out of all quarterbacks. He was already viewed as a mid-late round pick, but he might even go undrafted after that kind of performance.
Yeah, it's really bad.
But Aiden, we'll get to you. What's your biggest loser?
I touched on mine already. It's Will Campbell, and it's not just because of Will Campbell tested fine. His numbers were fine. He ran a 4.9. He didn't bench. He looked good in the broad jump and everything. But it's the measurements for the offensive line that is the problem. Yeah. He had really short arms. His arms aren't long enough to play tackle in the NFL, according to everyone who says who measures those things. He has I think 9th percentile arms for NFL tackles, and he's just not big enough. He didn't measure in with the size, and Armand Mimbo and other tackles had better combines and outperformed him. He probably lost a lot of millions of dollars this weekend.
Yeah. Brandon, who is your biggest loser?
My biggest loser from the combine was Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. And if you dig deep into this guy, I don't know why this guy was graded as a second-round pick at all because he never had a receiving season at Texas that was more than 700 yards, and he only had one game in his entire 3-year college career where he had 100 yards receiving.
Yeah.
And I feel like he should have stayed back and did his senior year in Texas.
Yeah.
Because especially with Matthew Golden leaving to go to the NFL, he could have really prospered as a number one target for Archie Manning back at home in Texas.
Yeah, I believe he should have stayed another year in Texas. I didn't even know this guy until he said, "I'm going to run a 4.1." Yeah. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, I don't think his problem was that he's not a polished prospect. People weren't looking at Bond as a polished prospect. They were looking at him as an athletic freak that you don't see every year. And he just didn't test well as that athletic freak that he had advertised himself as. And it really let a lot of people down and probably killed his stock. He's probably going to go a lot later now than he would have if he didn't run a 4.3 instead of a 4.1.
All right, well, that's it for that. But before we go to an ad break, I do want to mention some very sad news. A student athlete who committed to the University of Pittsburgh's football program died on Saturday in a car crash in the state of Indiana. That player was Mason Alexander. Alexander was the passenger in a car that attempted to pass another vehicle just before the top of a hill when another vehicle came the opposite way and struck the car that Alexander was in. Alexander's car struck a tree in the process and caught fire. He was pronounced dead at the scene. We will now have a moment of silence for Mason Alexander. But don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to be talking some college basketball.
Are you tired about hearing about pro sports? Well, that's a good thing, because we only talk college. This is Jackson from the Playbook, and you're listening to Wolf Sports Network.
Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports Network? Yeah! Well, I have some good news for you because you can join us. Woohoo! So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now.
Oh.
Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports
I'm feeling
Pack.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
It's a tale as old as time. All good things must come to an end. But this final ride is going to be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
More legendary than this.
Is this the dagger?
And this.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown!
So be sure to listen to Triple Threat every Friday starting at 11. Only on Wolf Sports Network.
Wolf Sports Network is content heaven for a sports fan, but their show Sports Pack is my personal favorite. Sports Pack airs on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network, filled with fresh personalities, funny moments, and piping hot takes, along with call-ins that allow listeners to get in on the action. Check out Sports Pack every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Wolf Sports Network is going to have you covered with content for every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Sports Pack is bringing you all the news in the sports world today on Mondays and Thursdays at 6. Sports Out of Pocket is bringing you sports commentary with a comedic twist on Wednesdays at 5. And sit back and relax and grab your favorite snack because Triple Threat is bringing you the chill content on Fridays at 11. And we have a brand new show coming to Wolf Sports Network, The Playbook, where they talk about everything going on in the college sports world on Tuesdays at 6. So make sure you're tuning in Monday through Friday for all the content Wolf Sports Network is bringing you this semester.
Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network are proud to help reduce the 21% of adults with low literacy skills. We are collecting new and gently used books for every UWG pre-K student monthly. Give today by visiting wolfradio.com/bookdrive. That's wolfradio.com/bookdrive. College students who binge drank alcohol at least 3 times per week were roughly 6 times more likely to perform poorly on a test or project as a result of drinking. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined Wolf Sports Network's and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign to remind students drinking should be done responsibly and in an environment that discourages overindulging. Faculty will not take hangovers as excuses. Let's talk some college basketball.
It's Page off balance.
It's time for halftime hoops.
You heard it. It's time for halftime hoops. I want to open up with these games this past week. Georgia upsetting Florida, number 3 Florida last week. The Dogs had an amazing start to this game and managed to come away with a shocking win against the number 3 Florida Gators. This Bulldogs team needed this win to move into contention for this March Madness tournament. Although I don't think they will make it too far, which hurts to say, they do deserve a spot in this tournament. The Bulldogs' biggest lead in this game was 26 points. Does anyone know what Florida's largest lead was in this game? 2. 2 points.
I would have had it.
Georgia shot about 54% from the field and from the three-point line, but Florida only shot 40% from the field goal and 34% from the three-point line. Now, Aiden, last week you made a very serious prediction.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't serious, of Florida winning 105 to 52.
Well,
how do you feel about that?
The words did come out of my mouth, and I did believe that Florida was going to win this game very easily. But then Florida had a horrible game. They shot terribly, as JT just said, and Georgia shot the lights out of the building. They're probably their best game of the year by a country mile, at least the best we've seen since that tournament they had in the Bahamas where they beat like Memphis and teams. Played great basketball there too. But this was just not something I expect to see out of Georgia at this point in the season. They haven't looked like a good team in 20 games, and they pulled it out. They played an amazing game. I got to give them some credit for it. Yep. It was also Florida just played bad and beat themselves and still nearly caught it back from a 26-point deficit. Good game from the Georgia Bulldogs. I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
The Bulldogs are picking up, coming around to March. Another team that's starting to pick it up is Vanderbilt. Now, Jackson, I want to go to you on this one. Vanderbilt's been upsetting some really good teams recently.
Yeah. Now, despite Vanderbilt having an 8-8 conference record right now, their overall record is 20-9, up there with teams such as Kentucky and such as Mizzou, who they recently beat. And I want to talk about that. In the recent overtime victory against Mizzou, transfer Jason Edwards scored 17 points, with 15 coming in the second half, showcasing his ability to perform under pressure. And what really has drawn them to these wins is their recent strong offensive rebounding. In the past 8 games, they've out-rebounded their opponents by 3 to 4 possessions, and they've also enhanced a aggressive playing style that emphasis earning free throw opportunities and maintaining defense intensity. So when it comes to Vanderbilt, and again, they're up there with teams such as Mizzou and Texas A&M being placed in like the mid top 25 rankings. They have, if they continue this streak with this offensive rebounding, they have a shot at that tournament.
And we're going to go into another game that probably the biggest game of the entire week, Alabama versus Tennessee. That game was huge. Now, Brandon, I'm going to open this up with you. What did you see out of this game?
So you said the biggest game of the entire week. Let me tell you, this may have been the basketball game of the year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because Tennessee came into here with a really solid defense, one of the top defenses in the SEC. Alabama came in as the top offense in the entire nation. So an immovable force met an unstoppable object. And what happened was, again, the best basketball game of the entire season so far. And it came down. They were tied 76-76. Tennessee guard Jamal Moshak, who's on the bench, averages 3 points a game. And this is what I love about college basketball, love about this time of year, is the fact that someone that contributed so little for so long on this team made the biggest shot in perhaps this whole entire team's season. Now, Mark Spears from Alabama had 28 points, but Tennessee had their own guy in Chaz Lanier, who wound up scoring 20 points in this game as well. So I really hope that we see this team, or both of these teams, face each other again in at least the SEC tournament, if not the national tournament later.
Yeah, I know a lot of us, some of us at this table were watching this game live, and watching that buzzer beater was the craziest thing. Everybody in the room was going crazy about it. But a question I want to ask you guys, when you think of college basketball, what conference do you think of?
SEC.
This
that
season
is a
maybe.
lie.
This season,
Yeah, this season, the last
SEC.
2 years, maybe SEC. But
And why don't you give us
college
your
basketball as a whole, when my mind goes to the winter, I think Big Ten basketball on the TV. I think of those Michigan, the Indiana teams, just teams that are passing the ball, playing fundamental basketball like the Big Ten does. It's just fun to watch. Yeah. It's maybe not translating to the pros as good as it is now, and that's why the SEC has taken over. They play more of that ISO ball, NBA style. But the Big Ten is just more fun to watch, in my opinion, and it's what I think. It's what I was watching as a kid. It's what I grew up on.
There was a game this past weekend, Wisconsin versus Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State and Wisconsin had a big matchup this weekend in East Lansing. Michigan State came out on top after trailing for pretty much the entirety of the first half, and a while in the second half they just outplayed Wisconsin for the full game. They didn't outplay them for the full game. They came out on top of them in the second half because they just grinded them down, just continued to play their brand of basketball even when it wasn't working, and they were the better basketball team in the game. Made their shots fall when it really counted, and I think this Michigan State team is poised for a deep run in March. I think they probably go and win the Big Ten this year, to be honest with you, and I think they might even come into the tournament as a 1 seed after that Big Ten tournament run, depending on who loses in front of them. This is a really good Michigan State team. Got a big game against Michigan. I think they're going to go and dominate that and have a great run into their conference tournament.
I'm glad that you brought that game up because I'm going to throw this one to Brandon. Michigan versus Michigan State this upcoming Sunday. What are your thoughts on this game?
So, again, this game has super high implications on the Big Ten tournament. Michigan State, I think, is a lock right now as the 1 seed in it. If not, then they're going to be one by the time they play Michigan.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that Michigan, if they want to get one of those top seeds in that tournament, over Purdue, over who's the other one?
Wisconsin.
Over Wisconsin.
Yeah, Purdue, Wisconsin, yeah.
Then they are going to have to show up against Michigan State and try and jump them in the standings for it. And I think that starts with Michigan just trying to really just stay alive and score points in the game. They average 76 points a game. I think if they get that, they may wind up with a win. But in the long run, I think Michigan State winds up winning this one pretty big. They faced each other earlier in the season, and Michigan State wound up winning 75-62. And Michigan State, they've won 4 straight games against ranked opponents, against Purdue, Wisconsin, the Michigan team, and Maryland. So I think that Michigan State's going to wind up having this game handily.
So I want to ask a hypothetical question to the three of you. And I know you guys are really big on Big Ten basketball. Hypothetically, say Michigan State comes out with the win, ends up with that number 1 seed in that Big Ten tournament. Who poses the biggest threat to Michigan State in the Big Ten Conference?
I think it's Wisconsin.
I do too. I think so.
I'm going to say Purdue. I think
Really?
the Purdue team can get hot and beat them. Wisconsin, I saw Wisconsin, I think, gave Michigan State their best shot in that last game. Watching it, the Michigan State just looked in control the whole time. Even when they were losing, they still looked like the better basketball team of the two. I don't think Wisconsin has them on their best day, and I think Purdue might.
There is another team that is up there in the ranks, and they're still fighting for a good seeding in this March Madness tournament. And we did talk about them dropping a game to Tennessee this past week, but I want to talk about Alabama. Now, Aiden, they have a hard week ahead of them. They're playing number 5 Florida on Wednesday and number 1 Auburn this coming Saturday. How do you see them coming out of this week?
I mean, they've had a hard month. The last time they played a non-ranked opponent was against Texas on February 11th. This team has played 7 straight ranked opponents, and they're still competing. But they got to get tired at some point. This is not a run you want to see going into a conference tournament. Playing Florida and Auburn back to back in the same week. That's 2 top 5 teams. I think they can win both the games. I mean, they're a very good basketball team. It's just difficult to play this many good teams, especially 7 ranked opponents in a row to finish the year is insanity.
Yeah, and sticking with SEC basketball, Jackson Bowles over here, an alleged Kentucky fan, has a tough game against the number 15 Missouri Tigers.
I know y'all love, if y'all pay attention to Sports Out of Pocket on Wednesdays, y'all love hearing my rants about Kentucky, but I want to talk about this. Kentucky has struggled with injuries such as our top 3 guards in Kirk Krissa, in Jackson Robinson, who is now out for the season with a wrist injury or something. And there's another guy, Lamont Butler, who just came back, who averages like 14 points per game, who's been pivotal for this Kentucky basketball team this season, especially against teams with big defenses who knows how to get around there. And against this Mizzou team, Mizzou has a 55% chance to win. Kentucky has a 45% chance. Mizzou is a similar case, struggling against defensives. The last time I got to talk about a Kentucky basketball game was against Alabama. Alabama struggles against defenses, and Aiden thought that, he was very optimistic, thinking that Kentucky could win. I'm so glad that somebody was. Unfortunately, I do see this coming as a Kentucky loss again. Mizzou, honestly, is a strong
this
team.
man just picks his team to
Look,
lose.
I pick my team to lose, but I am genuinely honest about this. With Kentucky's injuries, especially with Jackson Robinson out and Kirk Krissa still out, I don't see Kentucky getting past this Mizzou team. I'm going to give a score prediction. Can I give a score prediction for this?
Go for
I
it.
think it's going to be like a 72-79 Mizzou team. I think it's going to be closer. It's just
This is no defense.
know,
and this
man.
Missouri team is
this is gonna be a
explosive.
high-scoring
This is a Missouri team that scored 110 points against Alabama.
Yeah, look,
I mean, this is a high-flying offense. I don't see it being under 80 for both teams. I see them both putting up big numbers for a college game. It's going to be.
Do you think Kentucky wins this one?
Yeah, actually, I do. I'll give it to Kentucky
I'll
again.
give it to Kentucky,
I'm a
too.
Kentucky
No,
fan, you know.
I'll give it to Missouri.
Jackson might not be a Kentucky fan, but I will be one.
I'll be a Kentucky fan for Saturday. But there is another game that I do want to get you guys' prediction on after I give these stats off. Ohio State versus Nebraska. Two teams who are fighting for March Madness spots. And Ohio State, their record this season, 16-12, but they're pathetic against the Big Ten. 6-11, which is one of the worst. They're scoring, or they won three of their last 4 games, including a win over Purdue. The key strength for this team, rebounding. They're physical. This is a physical team, but they're inconsistent with shooting, and they turn over the ball consistently. Now Nebraska, on the other hand, 20-8 on the season, 10-7 in the Big Ten. Not the best, but it's better than Ohio State. Won 5 of their last 6 games, including a win over Wisconsin, who we did just talk about. They're almost the exact opposite team. They're a 3-point team. They know how to score, but rebounding is their biggest weakness. Now, some key players in this game: Bruce Thornton, the guard for Ohio State, averaging 15.8 points per game and 4.3 assists per game. He leads Ohio State in scoring and playmaking. And Zed Key, their forward or center, whatever position he plays, he's a big. He plays physical, and he's going to get those rebounds. I could see him having a double-double when it comes to rebounding. For Nebraska, though, they have some good players on their team, too. Bryce Williams is a main player I want to highlight, 13.2 points per game, and he can score from all around the court no matter what. Now, when it comes to March Madness, Nebraska solidifies their spot if they win this game and keeps them in the mix for a higher seed in the tournament. A loss wouldn't kill their chances, but it would make these last couple games they have this season even more serious. Ohio State
Must win.
needs a win,
must win.
to keep their hopes alive. If they almost need to win out and to make a deep push in this Big Ten tournament if they want to be considered for a spot in this March Madness tournament.
Yeah, this is the modern basketball. Nebraska plays that modern style 3-point ISO ball that we were talking about, and Ohio State plays more of the old school. The problem is I think Nebraska's a better basketball team than Ohio State. I think they got more talented players, and they're hot right now, and Ohio State definitely is not. 5 of their last 6, including a win over Wisconsin for Nebraska, that's pretty damning for the Buckeyes. I think Nebraska's going to win this one and get some good momentum going into the Big Ten tournament. Maybe end up a 7 seed or a 6 seed if you have a good run.
What are your score predictions for this game?
Oh, give me Nebraska 82-68 over Ohio State.
Jackson, what are your predictions for this game?
So right now I am looking at it. You said within the last 5 out of 6 for which team beat Wisconsin?
Nebraska.
I don't see that on there. But
Nebraska beat Wisconsin.
But right now, the matchup predictor, I'm not too familiar with either team. And again, I think when it comes to 3-ball versus old school, Ohio State has a really solid defense. And when I've seen from recent games, especially this season, that defense is winning these games. So when it comes to this, I got based on I got Ohio State slightly edging out Nebraska, probably 76-72. It's going to be a good game.
All right, Brandon, what are your predictions?
So you had mentioned Bryce Williams for Nebraska, who is a really good scorer, second leading scorer in all the Big Ten. And I think that Nebraska goes in there, and I think they wind up I think this is going to be a dogfight either way, because I think Ohio State has a lot to lose from it, so they're going to play better than what I think people think they're going to. Although I don't think that they're going to be able to overcome Nebraska, and I think Nebraska winds up winning this, and I'm going to say it's 76-68.
Okay. Yeah, I believe this is a very close game. I do believe it's around that 70, 80-point range for both teams. I want to go with Ohio State because their rebounding is one of the best in all of college basketball, and Nebraska struggles with that. So if Ohio State can manage to shoot well this game and just keep themselves in it at all times, I feel like they have a decent shot. I'm going to go Ohio State 77-74.
Split decision.
2-2.
We do have a 2-2.
There we go.
Now, don't go anywhere, because when we come right back, we'll be talking some college baseball.
Sir.
Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports
This is
Network?
Abe Navy from the Playbook, and
Well, I
you're
have some
listening
good
to
news
Wolf
for you
Sports
because you can join us. So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now. Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to
I'm
Sports
feeling
Back.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
It's a brand new season, and you know what that means. A brand new series.
Kool-Aid Jackson Cook.
Mark my words, by the end of his career, Nolan Arenado will be better than Chipper Jones.
Jackson Cook.
New short series, exclusively on Wolf Sports Network YouTube.
Kool-Aid Jackson Cook.
Make sure to like and follow on all socials for more content.
Sports fans, are you looking for a show where you can see other sports fans sharing in your misery and excitement? Then Sports Out of Pocket is for you, because we're fans too, and we experience our highs.
Bertigine is not a safety. He's just a corner who will lock down your number one.
And our lows.
Trayshawn Ward. Screw you, buddy. You were on our team last year, and you gave us no mercy, okay?
So join us every Wednesday at 5 to cheer and boo along with us, only on Wolf Sports Network. Wolf Sports Network is going to have you covered with content for every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Sports Pack is bringing you all the news in the sports world today on Mondays and Thursdays at 6. Sports Out of Pocket is bringing you sports commentary with a comedic twist on Wednesdays at 5. And sit back and relax and grab your favorite snack, because Triple Threat is bringing you the chill content on Fridays at 11. And we have a brand new show coming to Wolf Sports Network, The Playbook, where they talk about everything going on in the college sports world on Tuesdays at 6. So make sure you're tuning in Monday through Friday for all the content Wolf Sports Network is bringing you this semester.
In a recent survey, almost 53% of full-time college students ages 18 to 22 drank alcohol in the past month. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined Wolf Sports Network's and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign, reminding you there is no drinking under the age of 21. Never drink and drive, even if it's one beer. And add food and water when you drink so you don't end up texting your ex, which means know your limits. Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network are proud to boost literacy rates with our pre-K book drive. Our ongoing book drive will provide a new or gently used book to every child at UWG's pre-K monthly. Give today by visiting wolfradio.com/bookdrive. Together, Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network will make a brighter future. Visit wolfradio.com/bookdrive. Let's talk some college baseball.
It's time for the 7th inning stretch.
Now, this past week has been pretty crazy when it comes to college baseball. There's one team that is really shocking me to start this season, and that's Texas A&M. What is going on with them? They are losing control of this entire team. Their weaknesses are starting to show. They've lost 4 straight games. Everybody thought this was the best team in baseball, and now it's one of the most disappointing teams to start this season. Their team ERA has been above 5, as starting pitchers struggle to go deep into the games, forcing an overworked bullpen to try and carry this team to wins. And errors are killing this team. They've committed 15-plus errors in their last few series, leading to costly runs. Offensively, their batting average has dipped below 26, and they've struggled with runners in scoring positions, straining 8-plus runners per game. Sloppy fundamentals, lackluster pitching depth, inconsistent hitting have turned this team from the best team in college baseball and being a contender to trying to regain momentum before SEC play starts to intensify. If they don't fix these issues soon, their postseason hopes could be in serious jeopardy.
Yeah. Not only have they been losing lately, they also lost third baseman Graham Grahovic last week, who was the SEC Freshman of the Year and had 23 home runs last season. It's been a horrible week.
It's been a bad week.
They lost probably their best hitter in their lineup coming off an SEC Freshman of the Year season, and they've lost 4 straight games, dropped from number 1 to number 14 in the polls. Horrible week to be an Aggie.
Yeah.
I was gonna say real quick, we had the conversation about should this Georgia baseball team be worried and about, like, is it over for Georgia? Should they start to panic? The real question should have been, is Texas A&M, should they start to panic? Because, from last year's team that did fantastic, they lost 2 out of their 5 starting pitchers to the MLB draft, and they also lost a veteran presence in Braden Montgomery, who also went to the MLB draft. So, honestly, when it comes to a baseball team, you have to have those leadership pillars there, and if you don't have that there, your team's going to crumble, your team's going to fall apart, and that's what's happening with this A&M team.
But, building on what you said, it's so hard to tell when the one loss is going to snowball and when it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that Georgia team recover. They're now ranked number 5 in the country. Whether that's deserving or not is to be debated, but they're ranked number 5. They've recovered fully from that early season loss in a way Texas A&M could not do.
Yeah, Texas A&M, they just blundered under all of this. Like, I don't know what's happening to them. Like, 4 straight losses is not just something that happens every day. Speaking of number 1 seeds, though, Jackson, LSU taking over that number 1 spot due to Texas A&M falling off so hard. What are your thoughts on that?
Now, LSU's only loss is to an unranked Omaha, but again, when college baseball, it comes with that. It comes with just random losses. It's a any given Sunday type thing. But I'm going to look at this LSU baseball team. A recent 5-0 streak includes notable victories over top 25 ranked Dallas Baptist, showcasing their competitive edge. In the Frisco Classic Championship, the Tigers clinched the title with their wins against Kansas State, Nebraska, Sam Houston, and if y'all don't know about Kansas State baseball, that is you think football, but their baseball team, they have a really prominent baseball team out at Kansas State.
Baseball, I think football.
Yeah, when you go to Kansas State, you think football, man. You think football. But their season record currently is 11-1, and their freshman class excellence. We've seen guys like Paul Skeens come in, guys like Dylan Cruz come in recent history when it comes to freshman class excellence. Yeah. This 2025 freshman class was ranked number 1 by D1 nationally, reflecting the program's strong recruiting and promising future. So LSU baseball, man, it's a really prominent team. So I'm excited that this LSU baseball team is at the number 1 position right now.
Yeah, sticking on the topic with the AP poll and this college baseball rankings, Brandon, who are some of the biggest movers of this new ranking?
So, after we talked about upsets, after we talked about all these teams that are losing right now, you're wondering, where in the world is the college baseball landscape right now? Mm-hmm. And as it sits, the biggest mover from it was Texas A&M, who dropped 13 spots. And I think they could have dropped even more than that, honestly.
They should have.
They dropped all the way to 14 after losing to Cal Poly this year, Arizona, losing to Oklahoma State, and Texas State, which 3 of those are unranked. Losing all of those as the number 1 ranking in the country is absolutely abysmal. But to round out the top 10, we have new LSU. We have at 2 Tennessee. We have 3 Arkansas, 4 North Carolina. We have 5 Georgia, 6 Florida State, 7 Florida, 8 Oregon State, 9 Virginia, and another mover up into the new top 10, Oregon, who moved from 11 up to 10. We also have Duke, who dropped from 17 all the way to unranked.
Wow.
After they lost to Liberty over the weekend. And then we have Vanderbilt, who dropped from 14 to 18 after they lost to UConn and USC, both unranked. I know you've heard of them, but they are not good at baseball. And we have 4 newcomers in Auburn, Alabama, Coastal Carolina, and Oklahoma State to round out the top 25.
Yeah, and some big movers up that I want to talk about. Ole Miss moved up 7 spots from 24 to 17. And the UC Santa Barbara Banana Slugs go from 20 to 16 in the rankings. Shout out to the Banana Slugs out there.
Shout out. But when you were listing off that top 10, 2 teams really stuck out to me, Georgia and Florida State. Now, these teams, the ranking's kind of weird. I don't know if Georgia deserves to be higher. I don't know if Florida State deserves to be higher than Georgia. But, Aiden, I want to get to you on this.
Hold on. I got to correct myself real quick. UC Santa Barbara is the Gauchos. UC Santa Cruz is the Banana Slugs.
There you go.
I caught myself there. That's my bad. What was the question you asked? Sorry, I was too busy thinking about my mistake.
Do you think that Georgia or Florida State should be higher ranked?
I think it should be Florida State because Florida State, when I look at their wins this year, they've all been dominant, multiple runs. They've had one-run game this year. Georgia, on the other hand, has a loss to UNC Wilmington. Florida State has no losses on the year. Georgia also has a one-run victory They had 3 one-run games with Florida Gulf Coast last weekend. That's 3 close games with a lesser opponent. You look at Florida State, they don't have those same issues with these lesser opponents that Georgia's had so far.
As much as I hate to say it, I do agree with that. I believe Florida State should be a higher-ranked team than Georgia. I just don't think Georgia's looked too good this season with these really close games against not very good opponents. But sticking with that top 10 that you mentioned earlier, a new team that went into that top 10, Oregon. Jackson, I'm going to throw this one to you. They have a 3-game series against USC coming up. What are your thoughts on this game?
Now, I want to talk about this USC team currently. You said that Vanderbilt moved from 14 to 18, and that is actually, again, one of their victories that USC happened to have beat. They also have notable victories over UConn, but in this Southern California College Baseball Classic, they ended up falling to UCLA in the finale. Prior to facing Oregon, USC is also scheduled to play number 16, UC Santa Barbara. What is their mascot? It's not the Banana Slugs. It's the Gauchos.
Not the Banana Slugs.
Prior to facing them, they have to face UC Santa Barbara, so we'll kind of see how that goes and how that affects their ranking. Now, I want to talk about this Oregon Ducks team. They have notable wins against Rhode Island, Columbia, and Toledo. Toledo actually surprises me in baseball. When you think of Toledo, you think of football, but you know, so I wanted to throw a difference.
Toledo baseball.
But
I guess so.
I'm thinking Toledo baseball now with that 10-2 record. So how do I think this is going to shape out? I honestly really don't know. It's a toss-up, but I'm gonna say USC pulls off a win 7-5 against Oregon.
Nah. Give me Oregon. Oregon's played good teams this year, and they've looked good. They're going to be a good team this season. Give me Oregon. Give me Oregon pretty good. 7-2 Oregon.
Well, it's actually a 3-game series.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is a 3-game series.
So I think USC wins the series 2-1.
Okay,
I think they pull out. We've seen a lot of upsets this season. Honestly, I think USC pulls it out. USC is my series winner against Oregon.
No, I think Oregon's
got it.
Oregon sweep. I'll give Oregon 2-1. USC. You convince me USC can steal a game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another game. Another series that's coming up for the ACC. We have 2 Georgia Tech fans in here. Brandon, I'm going to throw this one to you. Georgia Tech has a series coming up against Virginia Tech. As a Georgia Tech fan, what are your thoughts on this game?
So this is going to be one of the biggest tellers in how we're going to do this season. We're not ranked in the top 25 yet, but we've scored 59 runs in our last 4 games. And I think that's pretty darn good. It has been against West Georgia, and it has been against Western Michigan in a series.
Let's go.
But I think that with this really being our first ACC series, I think that the quality of competition now is at their front door. It's right around the corner, and I think that this is going to be the ultimate test for the bullpen for them. The bullpen's been great. You have Mason Patel. You have Tate McKee, who's been a solid starter. You have Riley Stanford, who's been a solid starter for Georgia Tech. So I think that Georgia Tech could possibly get 2 out of here. They could possibly sweep. But that's my unbiased opinion as a Georgia Tech fan.
Break the brooms out. There's my unbiased opinion. Georgia Tech's sweeping. Georgia Tech's dominating. We're going to the College World Series. I'm booking my tickets to Omaha already. I'm bought in.
Well, we know that both of you love Georgia Tech, but Aiden, another team that you've just been itching to talk about all day.
My Dallas
Baptist.
This has been a great team so far. They're 8-3 on the year. They've played a lot of really good competition, played a lot of those Texas schools that are very good at baseball, and they're going to Oklahoma. A little mini Red River rivalry. Dallas Baptist is just as good at Texas at baseball, probably better actually. Oh, no, Texas 12. Sorry to Texas. Good team there, too. Dallas Baptist, very good baseball team, and I think they can give this Oklahoma team a run for their money, even though they're not a traditional powerhouse. I love seeing these smaller schools come out on top. Coastal Carolina broke into the rankings. We talked about my Gauchos. A lot of these smaller schools are very good this year in baseball, and I think Dallas Baptist is one of those teams leading the charge for the mid-majors.
I do like the Banana Slugs name better, though.
Yes, Santa Cruz.
But when we're gonna go into a segment that my favorite segment, Who's That Campus Legend?
Beautiful.
Reggie Bush, Johnny Manziel, Jimmer Fredette, Christian Leitner. What do these guys have in common? All these players know what it's like to be a campus legend.
You heard it. It's Who's That Campus Legend, our signature segment. We all have a player. We give 5 hints. We try and guess who that player is. Based off of how many hints you get it, that's how many points you get it. I'm not going to explain the rules every week. I'm probably done after this week. But the current standings show me and Aiden both at 4 points. Brandon at 3 points. And Jackson, since you weren't here last week,
I was in
you're at
Kennesaw
0.
getting party hardying for Marty.
That is wild.
That's a crazy comment.
Yeah, no.
Tough.
So Jackson's in last. But, Jackson, we're going to start with you. Go ahead and give us your first hint.
Ooh, I didn't know I was going to start.
right.
But I'm excited for this campus legend. Just to let you know, former sports director Brendan Wilby Ray, he texted me this guy, so shout out to him. So I'm going to start with the college, Duke. He went to Duke.
Okay.
Mine goes to basketball
Okay.
right
yeah,
away.
mine's on basketball, but maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm soul reading. I'm guessing. Soul
Oh,
reading.
he's locking in.
He is
Soul
locking
reading.
in.
I saw his face. I'm soul
Aiden's
reading.
locking in for 5.
Yep.
All right. The second hint, he was a small forward.
Oh,
Ooh.
God.
Ooh.
I guessed football player, guys.
So you guessed a football player?
Oh,
I saw a small forward.
Soul red.
Oh, no.
He's a small forward. Do you guys have guesses?
I don't have a guess.
A Duke small forward?
I was about to say, a Duke football campus legend is wild.
Why
would you choose
he is a campus
Very
legend,
rare.
though, guys.
That is very rare. Nah, I don't think we got it.
This Duke small forward was the 10th pick in 2015. He was the 10th pick in 2015.
Right,
Honestly, he was one of my favorite players in that draft that year.
Was this 2015?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good about my soul read because I don't feel like JT and Brandon are any closer than I am.
No.
I'm already locked in.
I'm
on
not
football
close at
player.
all.
I know a guy
Hey,
from the
he could've been a dual
2015
sport guy.
team.
You don't know.
I know a guy from the 2015 team, but he's a power forward. He's not a small forward.
10th pick in 2015. Do you guys want me
I
to
don't
read
have
You know
a
what?
years
guess.
pro?
I'm going to write down someone
But
right
he's
here.
not
and
locking
lock
Brandon's
in.
locking in.
So
You're not
Brandon-
locking it in? Or are you?
I am
Brandon's-
locking it
Brandon's
in.
Brandon's
locking
locking
it
it in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, JT. Years pro 2015 to 2023.
Okay.
Oh, so he's already out of the league?
He's already.
I think he's a current free agent. He hasn't announced retirement or anything.
Okay.
So
Is he playing in the EuroLeague? You know that?
he might be.
Okay.
He might be. I'm
I'm
pretty
gonna
sure.
need that
he is.
last
You gotta
hint,
research your
Jackson.
guys, man.
All right. Teams: Miami, Portland, Memphis, and the Clippers.
Nope, that's not me.
Glad I didn't write this down.
Miami.
I got no
Miami,
names.
Portland, Memphis, and the Clippers. Do you have a guess? Honestly, again, I really like this guy in this draft. This was probably the first ever NBA draft I ever watched, and it included guys like Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns,
Yeah, this is gonna be.
Tyus Jones.
I feel like this is
this
gonna
guy's
be a name.
teammate,
Tyus Jones,
who
yeah,
was
great
with
player.
Tyus Jones.
I feel like you're
So-
gonna say the name and I'm gonna be like, yeah, great
Yeah.
player. And
So,
Yeah, I'm
all
not-
right,
I'm
ready?
not- I don't have a guess.
Are you gonna write it down?
I don't have a guess.
Just put. You don't have a guess.
I don't have a guess.
All right.
you want to hear my
Aiden-
guess?
Yeah, I want to hear your guess.
I guess Daniel Jones.
It is not Daniel. Daniel Jones, well-known Duke basketball guy. It is
well,
not Daniel
you didn't
Jones.
say basketball. You said Duke at the first
You just
round.
said Duke.
It
so.
is.
I'm going to go with Brandon Ingram.
It
That's
is-
who I wrote
It
down.
is not Brandon Ingram. JT doesn't have a guess.
I didn't have a guess.
Shout out to Brendan. Is Justice Winslow.
Oh,
If anybody remember Justice Winslow,
okay. I was-
big Miami Heat guy.
He
So
did,
you know,
yeah, he did come to
Brandon.
mind
Shout
and
out.
said Heat,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. It was a guy that they were not going to get. So I'm excited.
All right, Aiden, we're gonna go to you next.
All right. My campus legend went to Eastern Carolina.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh, I think I know it.
Oh, Brandon.
What?
Brandon might
What's the
have it.
name?
Brandon
Oh,
might have him.
wait.
Tell him the name.
Okay, hold on.
What's
All
this
right,
player's
since
name?
you-
That should be
since
the
you
next
asked.
hint. What's this player's name?
All right.
All right, I'm
position-
locking it in.
Oh,
I'm locking it
okay.
in real quick. Okay.
All right.
Position, running back.
Nope, that is not
Eastern
right.
Carolina running back.
There, yeah, you went a receiver, didn't you?
I
yeah,
did.
I think I know what you're thinking. Yeah, running back at Eastern Carolina.
I don't have a guess.
What's next again? Draft pick?
Their
draft
overall
pick
draft
and
pick.
year.
And
Yeah,
what
he
year?
went. Oh, let me check year. He went 24th overall in 2008.
Ooh.
That's correct.
Ooh.
2008 running
2008 running back from Eastern Carolina. 24th overall.
I don't-
24th
I don't
overall
got
in
anything.
2008.
I don't got it. I'm
Oh,
ready for
Jackson,
another
Jackson's
hint.
looking like he
Nah.
might right. Okay,
No.
no, he's not. Teams now?
Years
Oh,
played.
Oh, years played. 2008 to 2017.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I'm gonna need that last hint again.
All right. He played for the Titans, the Jets, and the Arizona Cardinals.
I have mine locked in at
Oh,
Years
on two?
Pro.
Okay.
Years Pro.
Okay.
I have a guy locked in at Years Pro.
Can JT make something happen here?
I don't know. I know this guy.
Oh, I have a guy in my head.
Years Pro.
There's
I
a
can't
name.
think of his name.
Years Pro.
I
I have the
said
guy locked
he played
in.
for the Tennessee Titans, the New York Jets, and the Arizona Cardinals. 2008 to 2017.
This is probably a bad guess.
Running back from Eastern Carolina. All right. We'll hear everybody's
I'm
guess.
locking in for one.
Brandon guessed
I
first,
locked
so
in
we'll
for
hear
two.
Brandon for 5.
I locked in Kevin White at Eastern Carolina.
He went to West Virginia, first of all.
Okay, who was I thinking it was?
Justin Hardy was a receiver out of Eastern Carolina.
Hardy. Okay.
For number 2, for 2 points, right? You know, the year's pro. Is it Chris Ivory?
It's not Chris Ivory. His name is Chris. If you went with a Chris.
I did not.
No.
I was going to say Chris Johnson. But I went Javen Johnson.
It was Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson.
Y'all combined. It was
Dang
Chris Johnson there.
Ah!
CJ2K, legendary
I don't know
player.
why I thought David Johnson. My mind did not go to CJ2K.
Yeah.
But we got.
I just heard Cardinals at the end, and I had a thought about it. But we're empty this episode. What's going on?
Zeros all around us.
Brandon, we'll go to you next.
All right. I've got North Carolina.
Okay. That could be football or
May.
basketball.
That goes to soccer.
No, it's Michael Jordan. Sorry, guys.
I do want to say, if anyone,
a callback.
with anybody watching, feel free to drop your guesses in the YouTube comments.
Don't tell me you have the player like on your screen right now because JT's looking at it.
Oh, I'm not looking at it.
I don't have the
Nah, there's notes on there. I can see
All
it.
right. Next.
Next hit.
All right. Defensive end.
Oh.
North Carolina defensive end. Of
Yep.
course.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
I think Aiden might get it.
I don't got to guess.
No, I remember watching the thing about this. Oh, what's
No.
his name? Okay,
No.
keep
All right,
going,
just
keep
go
going.
next
No, I'm
one.
not got
All
it. I
right.
don't got it.
2002 draft pick number 2.
Yeah.
Pick 2?
Yep.
It's not
I should know
good.
this. I should know this.
Oh, and I'm walking in. I am walking in.
He's locking. He's locking, boys.
I have a player in my mind, but I don't know if that's what year. I don't know if he went that early.
All right. I think I got it too. I'm locked in also.
I'm locked in.
If it's any consolation, I was surprised that he went this early when I researched it.
I'm locked in.
I'm going to need another hint.
All right, years pro is 2002 to 2018.
Yep.
I got it.
I think I got it too.
I
I'm
got
not
it.
sure, though.
This is the downside of being the youngest one here.
Outside of Brandon, you're not that much younger than us.
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah. Wow. 30 years younger than Brandon and only like 2 years younger than me. And
I'm gonna
Jackson.
need his
Pretty
teams.
All right, Panthers, Bears,
Yeah, I
and
got it.
Packers.
Yeah, I
I
got
got
it too.
it.
Yeah,
I got
okay,
it.
we're good.
So that's
I
four.
should have got it on
That's-
5. I just couldn't.
Is it-
I saw an
we got it
Instagram
on
reel
4.
about it
There-
going to UNC.
We got it on 4.
I got it
Player I
on
had in
4.
mind is not
Yeah, we
who
got it
I
on
think
3.
it is.
We got it on 3.
Yeah, the player I have in mind is just not clicking his name
No?
at all.
I got 3 points.
I don't got it. No.
All right, do we want to reveal?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
want to
we
reveal.
will. Me and Jackson
Yep.
will reveal in 3,
All right,
2, 1. Julius Peppers.
Julius Peppers.
Oh, my.
He's also a part of the North Carolina 2000 Final Four team.
So dual sport.
He was. I remember watching an Instagram reel about him getting recruited. He was playing running back,
All right.
receiver, quarterback at his high school
So
team.
you guys locked in
3
for
points.
3 points each?
Yep.
3 points each.
Let's
All
go.
right.
Brings me into the lead, guys.
That does put Aiden in the lead.
All right, JT.
All right.
Who's your guy?
My player went to Boston College.
There's multiple guys that I can think of.
Once I hear position, I feel like I might have.
Oh, yeah. I feel like you guys will get it after the position. Running back.
Yeah, I think I got this one. I got this one.
Why am I blanking?
I'm
out?
blanking too. Yeah, I have no idea.
Brandon's locking in for 4.
Brandon knows some Boston College running backs immediately. I'm lost.
I know a Boston College running back.
Yeah, I don't have any clue here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. 62nd overall in 2020.
Oh.
Why am
do
I
know who it
blanking?
is. Oh, what's his name?
Boston. Keep going. Just keep
No,
going.
no.
Aiden's locking
I
in
got
for
it.
3.
Yeah.
Why am I blinking out? Because I watched all of that draft.
All right. He has been playing since 2020, and he's technically on IR, but he's still in the league.
Mhm.
And he still plays for a team.
This team?
Yeah.
Just give me the team because I'll lock in for 1
The
point.
Packers.
It is the Packers.
Oh, yes. I know ball. Let's go.
All right.
All right. YouTube. Somebody did get it right. Let's see.
All right.
Shout out
Brandon,
YouTube.
what did you lock in?
I have Andre Williams.
Who?
What?
Who is Andre?
I know Andre
He ran
Williams.
for 2,000 yards at Boston
It is
College.
not Andre
He was
Williams.
like third in the
All right,
Heisman
that's who you
voting.
locked in
All right,
for.
that is incorrect.
Yeah, in
Aiden,
1963.
who did you lock
What do you
in?
mean?
For 3 points, Aiden locks in
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon.
They give it to me. The quad
That was
father.
AJ Dillon for Jackson 2. And
That's
shout out
number
John
1
Joyner
points.
for getting it right in the YouTube
The
chat.
He's a
quad
Packers
father.
fan, come on.
Shout out to the quad father. Let's go.
So the standings after today, Aiden at 10 points, really running away with it. Jackson and me are both at 4. Brandon remains at 3. And
I'm making my Mario Kart kind of comeback.
I want to say thank you guys for joining us today. I'm your host, JT, joined by Aiden,
Sir.
Brandon, and Jackson, who Jackson will be hosting next week.
Ooh.
So you don't want to miss it.
I didn't know that.
Tuesdays from 6 to 7. See you guys.
See ya.